I lost my camera.
Yeah.
Good morning. How are you? Afternoon.
Afternoon. Yeah. New time. Good. How are you? Oh, now it says device is not connected. That's okay. Okay. So today, our guest is Adriana Ostapenko. She is the founder of Ace Properties, which is an asset management company that specializes in a diverse portfolio of well performing multifamily properties. She co owns, alongside her husband, a construction company in the Greater Toronto area, and alongside her incredible team, is currently operating 130 units. Of those, 30 and more are in development and are primarily in New Brunswick. Adriana is a mother of two and is passionate about helping families build wealth using real estate and sharing her story to inspire and educate others. Adriana also has extensive experience with property management, owning her own management company for over 6 years. Let's welcome Adriana.
Adriana, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
That is
Yeah,
quite
thanks
the
for joining us.
resume.
It's always fun when you hear it being read to you. You're like, oh, wow, okay.
So I know your story, but maybe for our listeners as well as Carly, just sort of take us, down the path of how you got started to where you are now with those 130 units.
Yeah, so I started investing in real estate about 7 years ago. Up until that point, I was pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, didn't really have a background in investing or wealth creation or just figuring it out how to do life, coming from humble beginnings at the end of the day, but having a desire to create wealth for myself, my family, and beyond. Starting investing in real estate with our construction company that just married so well with real estate. We started doing conversions, smaller multifamily conversions, so fourplexes mostly. We did about 5 of those. And really enjoyed it, but it was a lot of work and was looking for ways to scale but do less. That was kind of my goal. And that's when multifamily came into my world. And since then, we've been solely focusing on multifamily 6+ units. And started investing out of province, partnered with somebody that's now living locally there, and have been able to grow and scale our portfolio quite nicely over the last couple of years.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
what led you to the New Brunswick market? I too am a fan.
Yeah, exactly. We have that in common. So, honestly, the first time I thought of investing out of province in Ontario was actually a common friend that you and I have, Jennifer, Colleen. She made a comment to me that she was only able to step back from doing the day-to-day grunt of property ownership when she started investing out of province. And that was just a kind of a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, okay, I can see that being the case. Started looking for landlord friendly provinces, to be very honest, because Ontario is the furthest thing from that. And I've had my share experiences of tenants unfortunate situations that could have been easily resolved if there was a more friendly system to face. And also was looking for good price points, good cash flow, good cap rates. Somebody mentioned New Brunswick was a good opportunity. I started just doing my research in the province and talking to every investor that I knew that invested out there. God really, really enjoyed what I was reading, what I was looking at, the trends, the economic growth that they were experiencing, population growth, and started investing. Always about proof of concept. We've been investing for almost 3 years now there and completed many projects. Very happy with the results we've been getting, and we want to continue to grow out there.
That's
Nice.
amazing. And for our listeners that don't know, you may have caught it. Jennifer and Adriana are Canadian. So Jennifer and Adriana, when they do multifamily, but north of the United States. So we have viewership in both countries. So it's really cool to see how you guys are doing it, the same thing that up in Canada. So how long have you been doing it for?
I've been in real estate for 7 years now. It feels like it was yesterday, and yet it's definitely feels like it's been a lifetime. I didn't realize you're from the U.S., Carly. It's amazing. Whereabouts?
Yeah, I'm close to you guys. I just drove up to see Jennifer last 2 weekends ago. I'm in right outside of Seattle in Gig Harbor.
Oh,
So
amazing.
we're in the
Multifamily as well.
yeah. Well, not as big as you. I have some. I've been into duplexes and the little guys. So I'm at the place where you are, where you're like, I'm ready to go from the littles to the big boys. So
Let me tell you, it spoils you. It's hard to look back once you've gone big.
I know
No pun intended, some pun intended.
somebody's.
It's hard to look back.
That's what I've heard. We had Vina Jetty on our last podcast. She's a pretty big investor here. She's raised over 900 million. And she said the same thing. She's like, everybody starts with like the little ones, but like once you go to the big boys, it's like there's no looking back. It's so great.
Yes,
So
I agree.
So what do
So
you
I
do for them? Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, so I know you were saying were in 4 plexes, and then I know you recently did a 50 unit. So just sort of what was going through your mind to be able to make that leap? Because I know a lot of people, I mean, even we did 29 and they're like, how did you wrap your head around it? I was like, well, the numbers are just larger, but what was sort of going through your mind at that point?
I think there were, when you work so hard towards something, like you don't realize how much progress you're making until you look back and you're like, hey, like that's a lot has happened in terms of experience and mindset and partnerships and connections, and all of it does count and compound to your growth. I didn't go from 4plex to the 50 units. I went from 4plex. We got a 7 units first, then we closed on a 6 unit, then we closed on 24 units. So there was definitely a progression there before we got to the 50. But I was ready after the 24 units. I'm like, okay, I got to keep going up from here. I can't go back.
Yeah.
Started looking at larger portfolios. And funny enough, I'm not sure I've shared the story like before like this, but the 50 unit building had come across our desk about a year before we actually put it on the contract. And we passed on it because I was not ready. This is the truth. I was just not, we could not have wrapped my head around it at that time. We were just beginning. That goes to show you. But after we had closed on a few and finished projects and like I felt confident, the other thing that happened was I exited some of my smaller multifamily and I had a bunch of cash. And that gave me a lot of confidence too. I'm like, hey, I know I can like tackle some of this with my own funds if I have to. And you leverage those funds for, the initial process. So just honestly, a combination of things as we kept moving towards the goals that we wanted and preparing for it and getting ready to be ready for it all. When he came across our desk the second time, I'm like, hey, I'm very interested now. And I remember the realtor calling me and saying, I sent this to you a year ago. Like, it's more expensive now. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I wish I bought a year before. But honestly, I wasn't ready for it. That's just the truth. But then I was. And it's doing really well. We purchased it for Carly's sake, because I know Jennifer knows some of this. We purchased it for 4.2 million, a portfolio of 50 units. We had a very strong idea that we could add units to the basement spaces and like main floor spaces of the buildings. And we are indeed able to add 10 new units, which is fantastic. And we have like a projected ARV on this about I don't know, I'm going to say somewhere between 11 to $12 million. So
Amazing.
triple of the price. And it's just very, very good.
Yeah.
So you guys added basements. You just did value add with, not just, but you did value add with this. Is that what
We
increased the
do
price?
focus very heavily on value add opportunities. So we did like full renovations on these buildings. It's still in the process. These are actually 4 buildings. They're all side by side and they're like own private courts. So they're like neighbors. So we're going to be finished with the first 2 buildings by the end of August. We have tenants moving in by August 1st in one of the buildings. We kept the other 2 tenanted this whole time. Just still earning some income while these first 2 were getting done. And we were able to add 2 new units to the 2 new buildings. We're going to start the second phase in August. The next 2, we're going to be able to add 8 units to those. When my business partner did a walkthrough of the buildings, he called me from site and was like, pretty sure we can add new units in these basements. Like, they're large, there's like tall ceilings, there's windows. Like, I don't know why nobody has yet. So that's really what made obviously a massive difference here.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why when you say like once you've gone big, you can't go back, just like the power of the additional units, right? As soon as you keep going bigger, like every small item you increase or decrease from your expenses, it just has such like a monumental change to your bottom line.
Also, here's what's so cool about it. Like, again, we do renovations. I've been in the construction industry for a long time. I know you are too. It's honestly, it's a rinse and repeat model. We have 8 different layouts in the apartment buildings that we're able to draw, make decisions on materials, layouts, best use, anything that needed to be done in terms of opening. We were opening up some of the kitchens, things like that, appliances, plumbing, and then it's just rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
And the team knows what they're doing. They know exactly what to do in the next building. Obviously, the first building, we uncovered things like, okay, some things we had to adjust, as you can imagine, but now they know. And now we're moving even faster with the next buildings as well. So I love that about the multifamily space. You enter one building and you're like, everybody is on there for, a much smoother, somewhat faster process than the smaller ones at the end of the day.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just making those decisions and then, like down to your paint color and everything like that. I think people see Instagram and other things like that. And they're like, well, how, like, you're just constantly making decisions. I was like, it's very like unglamorous from behind the scenes. Like, there is one paint color, there is one toilet, there is one line of appliances. Like, that's kind of it, right? That's just like financially the best way to do it as well, because you can buy things in bulk, especially, you're going to do 50, you go find a flooring that, they'll give you competitive pricing on. And that's, again, how you just make your investors and yourself even more returns too, right?
That's 100%. It's a different negotiation when you go into, suppliers and be like, I have 60 units. Like, do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm in the small land of duplexes and right now. So what was, like, you said you passed on it and you were like, I'm not ready for this. And then you decided to do it once you had a chunk of money. What was that like? Like, what was that mindset like? Were you freaking it out on the inside? Were you ready to go? Like, what changed with your mindset of being like, yes, I'm going to buy a $4 million building, $4.5 million building?
Yeah, great question. I honestly, every single project that I've done, there's always ups and downs, and there are always some sleepless nights in there, here and there. Just like that's the truth. There's stressful moments. There's like towards the closing of that. Let's just to highlight one of the moments. I went to New Brunswick. We were supposed to have closed, maybe like 2 weeks earlier, and we didn't. I kind of timed it, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go there and be there for the closing because I don't live in that city in the province. When I was there, we went to the lawyer's office the day we were supposed to be closing to sign the closing documents. We walk in the office, and the lawyer says, "We're about to lose this deal." I'm like, what? Like, I've been working on this deal for 6 months. I raised $2.6 million for it. Like, what's going on? Like, what? Like, no, I'm ready to celebrate. And it was like a last minute insurance thing, which lots of lessons learned every time. And then it was like 3 hours of phone calls with the lender and insurance broker and the bank and the lawyers. I'm like, somebody figure this out. It has nothing to do with me. And like, somebody figure this out. So it's just an example. It's literally until the last minute. It's
true.
And then when you close, it feels like,
It's
Okay.
underwhelming.
Like, yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. People are always like, oh, did you celebrate? I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm
they
emotionally
called after. We're
exhausted.
like, we left the lawyer's
Yeah.
office. They called after, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sign the papers. Okay, if you don't want to send it, don't send it. I don't know. I'm gonna sign. I'm gonna go, and you tell me when we close. And the lender called me and was like, "It's done." I'm like, "Done." He's like, "Yeah, it's yours." I'm like,
That's so cool.
okay, we
Hey,
got it.
babe.
But going back to your question, just to tell you about like, there's lots of stressful moments, but um, I think in terms of the mindset piece, we had done 3 projects. We had closed on 3 buildings. We had completed a project, and I felt really confident on the team we had on site. We felt confident about the type of building we were looking at. We really liked the price points that we were purchasing at. It was a long process of negotiation. We brought the price down significantly from when we first started talking to the lenders. And for me, having some funds of my own in a bank account was a comforting thing, and I could have done it without it, but for me, it was a comfort level, and it gave me the confidence that I needed personally to be like, okay, I got some of this. And what I realized was, it was a lot of work, but in terms of effort, if I had closed on smaller buildings adding up to 50 units, it would have been way more stressful and way more time and way more in moving pieces than it was to do it all in one portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. And then you said you capital raised too. So you get into this multifamily. Did you capital raise before or after you got it? And like, how do you just learn to like, how did that start?
So I have been capital raising for 7 years, pretty much since I started. I did start with my own funds, some of my own funds, but I had a partner on my very first deal right off the bat that brought funds in. And then I've just been capital raising since then for different projects. I had done syndications before that portfolio, smaller scale. That was the largest I've ever done on one project, the 2.6 million. So I had some experience, I've been doing it for a while. I had already a list of investors, I had already been doing a lot of networking and had some sort of reputation already. So all that helped, of course. And how do you do it? I just talk about it incessantly. Everybody's going to hear that I have a portfolio under contract. Everybody's going to know that I'm doing this really exciting project. And just talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And even when you don't have something under contract, right? Like Carly's like, how do you raise capital? It's like, people just need to know you're actively like looking at deals, researching, all of that sort of stuff, because they're still reaching out to you when you don't have something under contract, so that it is, less of like that time crunch, right?
100%. So I don't. You're right. Like I don't collect funds before.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a deal on the contract, but I'm always raising and I'm always talking to people. I'm on social media. I do podcasts. I do networking events. I keep myself. You got to sort of be top of mind for others. People got to know you, remember you, trust you. There's so many touch points that they get before you ever actually have an offering. And by the time you do, they are like, okay, I know who you are. Here you go. Like, I'd love to be part of what you're doing. And that opens a lot of doors.
For sure.
Yeah, the definitely being, I mean, this is what we talked about when I was on your podcast, but the being active on social media, just so people, see sort of, into your life too, that you're not just this like person asking for money or anything like that, right? Like, this is what you're doing, that you have kids, you're a person, you're a human, all of those contributing factors as well. So they really feel like they know you when they're investing, right? Instead of, just giving a stranger an investment.
Yeah. So, and here's another thing I realized, and obviously you guys are doing it too. Congratulations on your podcast. I really wanted to be on video specifically, like having a YouTube channel. because I just built so much trust. People get to literally see you like
Yeah.
often, and social media has the same effect. I will sometimes walk into a room and I can tell when somebody's looking at me and they're looking at me like they know me, and they just there's just something about their look that they're like, oh my gosh, I know who you are. There's that immediate trust. They feel like they know you, and that takes away a lot of the trust building that you would have to do normally in like a conversation. By the time they get to you, they've already seen you over and over again.
Yeah.
Or heard about you from other people too, right? Like I get people always being like, oh, so and so was telling me about you. I'm like, oh, that's very nice of so and so, right? So just by being of anyone's top of mind too, right? You never know where someone's conversation with another person's going to go.
100%. That's the thing. Like, how do you stay top of mind when you're raising capital? It's sales and marketing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know I was with Jen last 2 weekends ago, and we're in the car, and some guy's like, "Hey, I just have she just gets this call out of the blue, and this guy's like, "Hey, I have $150,000. Can I give it to you?" And I was like, "How do you do that?" Like, I'm not a capital raiser, and I'm not in the big multifamily space, and I want to be. So it's just like it's jaw dropping to me, where I'm just like, "That's so cool." How you just put yourself out there, and they know.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's next?
For me?
Yeah.
We are looking to open a fund. As you know, I shared that with you.
Yeah.
Really to be able to streamline the fundraising side, but also diversify investor returns, have like the right back end administration for everything as well. In the compliance piece, that's some of the really top of line important things to me. For now, we're really happy on the multifamily side, and want to continue to scale that out in the markets we're already in. Potentially break into, not potentially, it's going to happen. We're just not quite there yet. Breaking into the US market as well, and acquiring some multifamily down there. So maybe Carly, we need to talk.
Let's talk. Yes, I keep telling Jen because we should all get one, and I'm like, I'm done with like the little tiny ones. I'm ready to play in the big leagues.
I
So
love that.
I
I can
know.
see it already. So, and
So-
Jennifer and I talked about this too. So we need to have a conversation again. So that's kind of where my two next things are, just getting like streamlined through the funds. We're just in the process of having conversations with lawyers and securities and
Mhm.
tax accountants, all the things, and
Yeah.
really figuring out
All the
what
people.
for
All
us.
the things.
And I've been looking at some development here in Ontario. So we do have a development project out in New Brunswick, but have been looking at something here, doing due diligence on a project here as well. So really hoping to have those two streams of real estate assets.
That's
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
I know for us, like, so with our like mutual fund trust, it's been nice having like a share class for development, but then same thing, we're looking at opening another share class for multifamily, because we've been finding that when we're talking to investors, there's some people that just are comfortable with investing in development. They want to know that when they're investing, there's already a fixed asset that you're going to be improving instead of dirt with like, a hope and a dream kind of thing. So it's been really lots of really interesting conversations. So I think the two marry well, because then you just have more opportunity for any investor.
I have a question for you. I don't know if this we're live.
Yeah.
About the fund specifically, because we did meet with the group that you've created your fund with as well.
Yeah.
Something that I guess what I'm looking for was something that was a bit more open-ended. The way they described it to us is very project specific. And I guess what I'm desiring and looking for would be a structure that I can have a portfolio of multifamily in one fund and continue to acquire, refinance and exit instead of exiting investors at once I complete every project.
So I would say that every project is false. Currently, we have two share classes. One share class is specific to a project, our 71 unit development. Our other share class is a bridge fund. So it's
Okay.
basically for anything. We're building 2 Airbnbs in that share class. What else are we doing? Like, so anything really. It's strictly a bridge fund. So we can even be using that for down payments to acquire multifamilies. And then our next one will be a multifamily share class. And there will be parameters, like we're going to buy, $15 million of multifamily. The projected returns we're going for is, and you have to have parameters around it, but it's not like you wouldn't open a share class specific to a building, because what happens if you fall out on it, right? Then you've just spent tens of thousands of dollars to open a share class, right? So yeah, no, I would definitely go back, because it's not project specific. You just have to have parameters that you are telling your investors that share class is going to operate under.
Interesting. That is not what I understood, or because I did ask this question, I got a different answer. So I definitely will go back and ask again and ask a different question.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I'm.
Well, Jennifer said. Because like we actively have a bridge fund. Like, it's not in the works. Like, that's, yeah, it's live.
So
People,
bridge
there's lots of
funds not specifically, because in my head a bridge fund specifically to short-term lending, is that not the case?
The commitment's 2 years, because we're doing so many different builds and things within it. It's a 2-year commitment. So it's not, it might be short term on our end, what we're doing with that money. It's a 6-month loan to, float a construction mortgage, do a down payment, refi, or whatever, right? But yeah, in terms of the investor, it's a 2-year commitment.
Okay, awesome. Is there like,
Yeah.
and there's like monthly distributions on that one?
That one is quarterly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah. We got really deep into funds.
I just blacked out for a minute right there.
It kind of seems like it's the next level, right?
I have no idea what just happened. I don't know what you guys were talking about.
It's always so interesting, the differences, like, and it's just a border, I'm like, oh yeah, registered funds. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, I think like your IRA. She's like, oh, okay. I was like, oh man, it's like we're constantly like translating for other people, because sometimes we'll have American guests on, and I'm like, so if you're from Canada, that's what that means.
I know. They're so similar though. It's just different names, and just knowing what things are called. We need like a glossary of multifamily terms or real estate terms between Canada and I get it if you use the term that I knew. It's just like, yeah. So, well, and Jen told me, I want to ask you about this. I was like, tell me about it. She said that you bought into, or you own, a VA company as well. Tell me about that. How does one just like stumble upon a VA company? How's that going? Like, I want to hear all about that.
Yeah. So about a year ago, I just really started down this journey of like turning my real estate portfolio into a business. I'm like, how does this become a business that I profit from, pay expenses, grow, scale, have team members, systems, all of it. And quickly realize I have no idea. I have ideas, but like logistically, there's a lot that I don't know, and there's a lot of things I can't do or have the skill set to do. So, and that started the process of hiring, and it was just really a lot of experience. Like hired somebody else, and it just didn't work. Just kept trying different things until I came across my business partner now, Megan, who had her own virtual agency. She herself is a smaller like startup. She herself was a virtual assistant, and then started hiring others to like also through her company. And when she came into my life got instantly better. And I'm like, oh, okay, this feels right. Whatever this is, I don't really know yet, but this feels right. Just felt so much help and like relief, and like, just felt good to have her. And obviously my feeling after that was like, everybody needs to know about you. Like all my friends are going through the same things, the same types of struggles, the same type of challenges. How can we share you with everybody? And we just started chatting. I'm like, how do we like scale this? Because it's such a valuable service. And we just, talked for a few months, came up with something together, and I purchased half of the company. We became business partners, and my intention has been from the beginning, like, how do I don't know, how do I help myself and my business and then offer those services to others? Because as I'm experiencing it in my own skin, I'm realizing what I need and what are the gaps and what works and what doesn't. And then turning that into services for other real estate investors, really specific to real estate investors, because as you know, it's a niche and there isn't a lot of like services for the little to mid-sized, guys. And honestly, we're still figuring it out, as you can imagine. Like, it's still a startup. So there's been services that we're like, hey, this is super valuable and it's profitable and we can replicate it. And there's been services that were like, I don't think this is a good one for us to keep around. So it's still like a process of growing that company and really honing it down on what works, what's really valuable service that makes sense for other investors, and that we on our end can, replicate and grow. So
That's amazing. What kind of services do you offer for real estate investors?
yeah, so right now we have like four main services that we offer. One of them is the general admin. So we do have, part of what our goal was, how do we bring general admins to investors that want already skilled at certain amount of tasks that we know real estate investors need, already have like a specific way. Something I really learned very fast as somebody who's trying to hire, the moment I would try to hire somebody, I had no idea how to like pass things off to them. Like, I don't even know. I don't even have a system here. Now you're here and you're telling me, how can I help? Can you just do everything? Like, I don't know. How do we do this? I don't know. So just realizing the gaps in myself, I'm like, okay, how do we offer a general admin service that's way more, hands off? So the name of the company is Turnkey for a reason, because we're trying to really offer turnkey services. And the women and are just incredible. I'm so thankful. They've been life changing for me. They really do everything from the little things like email management, calendar management, travels, but also like communications and event planning and
Nice.
so many other things. The other services we offer are bookkeeping, which is a big one. Part of what I wanted was not just somebody that would reconcile the books every month, but I needed somebody to offer me a cash flow analysis every month, because I'm like, I need to pay cash flow to investors. I don't really know, like, can somebody just also provide like reporting, just data, so that I can pay everybody off, somebody that's gonna like do accounts payable. So we just focus on training the bookkeepers in that direction, that offers like full service bookkeeping to our investors. And then we have CRM build out and marketing are the other two. On the marketing, we do social media management, YouTube management. We do, but also like investor packages and like any type of landing pages, any type of marketing materials that you would need for your real estate business. And then we focus on money.com as our CRM of choice to really customize and build out your back end.
That's amazing. And we could use some of those. I was like, tell me more. Are they, so the VA companies that I'm familiar with, they're based out of the Philippines. Is this based out of Canada? Or where are you guys all based out of?
Yeah, so it is North America. Most of us are in Canada. We do have some Americans that work with us as well. And we continue to grow. So everybody is from here.
What's your website? We'll put it out there for everyone.
It's turnkey VA. I'll send it to you so you can put it up.
Turnkey VA. I'll put it out there and we'll see. The VAs that I have been aware and working with, they're based in the Philippines. They're great people. There's a language barrier and a communication barrier. So, where it's like the slang, they're good. They're great at what they do. It's just there's that like that communication barrier, especially with social media and like communicating with people. So
So I tried because I think it's normal. Like, hey, I can hire somebody for $6 an hour. Let me do that. That sounds
yes,
wonderful. Like, and this honestly, I went through all the phases too, and I'm still going. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm learning every day. I get better at it every day on hiring and who do I need and what are the gaps and skill sets and right team members. But obviously, I feel like similarly with buildings, there is a mindset piece. You got to be ready to invest in your company and your team.
I
And it takes a minute for some of us to get used to the fact that, hey, if I hire the right team member, that's going to like scale my business to a new level that I could not have experienced if I, start small and take my time and they don't know. I don't know. Who the heck knows? Somebody that's going to come in and actually know what they're doing and make an impact from day one. So now that's what I look for. If somebody comes into my, and I know fast when they say like hire fast, fire faster kind of thing. Honestly, you will know fast. Like that's how fast it is. When you hire somebody, I would say like first, second week, if they haven't brought like this massive sense of relief to your life, to your business, it's just not the right fit. There's a couple options. They're not the right fit, or you're not prepared for it. Because you find that sometimes it's the client. They're just not quite ready for whatever reason to, pass off the work. They're not making the time. They're not being intentional about using their VA. I'm like, somebody's available to you for 10 hours a week and you're not giving them any tasks. Like you're just not making yourself available. And that's when we came up with processes. How does the VA onboard the client instead of the other way around?
so smart.
So good.
That's so
Yeah.
smart for us that are just getting started. They have, like you said, you have no idea what you're doing, and I've been struggling. You said you'll know within 2 weeks if they're helping you, and that's so true. So it's such a mindset when you are starting a business or you're going up to that next level of business to like go from doing it all of yourself, being like, I can do this, to freeing up your time and letting someone else help you so you can go to that next level. So, yeah, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to look you up. We'll have to look you up at all. So,
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah. So, Jen, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.
I know this is so good. This is so interesting to just get to know you and how you did it. And so you're a capital raiser, you're multifamily, you're got the VA business, you're a mom too, not to mention, like that's already a full-time job in itself. So you're doing it all. That's amazing. What else? You have anything else? What's next? Like, are you looking, where you looking to build? Well, you kind of told us that over in the cities that you're already in, right?
Yeah. Honestly, what's next is just really experiencing new levels of growth. Like I feel like we hosted a all women's real estate mastermind in Miami a couple months ago now. And I experienced some interesting breakthroughs there. And I was just talking to a friend yesterday, just this week now, like the types of conversations I've been having are so different than I was having before, even like a few months ago. I'm like, I love that. I love the awareness of the growth that's happening and the clarity of like where I want to be, where I'm going next, the confidence that it comes with that as well. Because it's way more than just real estate. It's way more than just money, although all those things are amazing and I want an abundance of it all. It's way more about like lifestyle, and it's way more about, happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment on a day to day. And that's way more important to me than any of the other things. I also know that when I am in my best and I am, happy and healthy and my best version, everything else flows better and everything else comes to me easier and everything else makes more sense. So always my biggest focus is just really myself. And my life started to change when I started to prioritize that.
I love that. I have a question for you. What does your day look like? Like when you're I can't say that word. When you're focusing on you, like what does your day look like? Do you start in the morning with like exercise? Like what helps you be successful? What did you change to be like, I'm focusing on me so I can like everything flows better and my business goes better and life is great?
Yeah, so I would tell you what my ideal routine is, and I'm being very transparent. It doesn't happen always consistently forever. There is ups and downs. Um, and I did go through like a really spurt of busyness that happened once you get a new building a contract. There's always like a spurt of like shuffling things around and getting things done. Um, which now, and this was kind of the clarity that I've been gaining, now I use those times as moments of clarity to be like, hey, wait, I feel it. I know I'm not at my best right now because I've been working a bit too much, more than I really wanted to, because I felt like I had to during that time. So always show up and get things done. But that's my warning sign right there. It's like something's got to change in terms of having a different team member, providing a different role, like it's investing in something differently. My ideal routine and where it gets me at my best. I am a morning person. I'm not preaching that everybody should be, honestly, but I am myself. I've always been. So I like to be up at 5:30. I come down, I do meditation, a bit of journaling. I like to read something. I'll listen to something. I listen to Abraham Hicks quite often. Or somebody along those lines. I've been listening to Bob Proctor, one of his courses as well. Do a lot of just like calming my mind, visualization. This is what my day is going to look like. I'm going to go into that podcast and it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be like just envisioning, imagining having the best day. I usually 3 times a week, I have a call with my business partner at 6:30, one of my business partners at 6:30 a.m. And we also do similar things, mindset and just planning for the day, as well as tackling some business things. Then I'm like kids getting ready for school, lunch, snacks, get out of the house.
All the whirlwind that is the morning with children.
Yes, you know very well.
Yes.
I try to head to the gym right after that. Like I need to get to the gym in the morning. If I leave it for later, it just does not happen for me. So I gotta get to the gym around 9. I'm usually there until 10:30.
Nice.
Come back, I shower, get ready, and then start my days of meetings. In my ideal world, I'm done with work around 4 because I pick up my kids at school every day at 3:30, which I'm very grateful to be able to do. And then I want to go like get them dinner and like help them with their homework and take them to like different things that they need to get to. So that's my ideal day. And that's the balance that I feel that keeps me at my best. I also need to travel every 6 weeks or so, I realize.
I love that.
Like,
I love
it's
that.
time to go.
I love that. Just get out of your stuckness of where you are.
Yes.
I always love hearing people's routines and like where they how they start their day. I feel like everybody that I've talked to so far that is very successful, they start their day very similarly. Journaling, meditation, getting up, working out, all of that stuff. So, that's one of my favorite questions to ask is like, what does your day look like? I love it that you can structure your day to where you're like, I can do my family and myself until 10:30 in the morning, and then I can work until 4, and then you're doing like that's amazing. I love that. Especially with little kids. It's so important. I know I struggle with working too much too. And I have little kids too. And so I got a lot from that, from like just knowing when you're like overworking and you're overdone and something has to change. So it's always good to hear it from another person because like you said, nothing happens every single day exactly the same. It's not perfect, but we're all in it together. So it's good to hear that. So Irina asked a really good question. I'm going to pull it up. What would your advice for new investors in the multifamily marketplace be?
Partners. I would say go partner with somebody that has done it before. That would be my biggest advice. I think a lot of investors, especially newer ones, kind of want to tackle on their own to figure it out. And going back to my whole advice about go find somebody that knows, like that would be your best bet. Bring a lot of value to the table and go partner with somebody that already knows how to do a multifamily deal.
That's a good one. That's a really good
Yeah.
one. So, well, thank you so much for coming. And I want to talk to you about all your VAs later and your VA services and coming down to the US, doing some multifamily stuff. So that would be cool to do that with you and Jen for sure. So
Let's do it. I love that.
yeah. Jen, do you have any
for taking the
questions?
time. No, I just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming. I very much appreciate it. I know that it was a little bit hectic planning, but we appreciate you. So grateful you came on. And Sarah says, great calls, ladies. Adriana is an incredible human. I couldn't agree more, Sarah. Thank you. So
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate
Awesome.
you having me.
yes.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
You
Talk to you
too.
later.
Bye.
Bye.